Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new. I hope you've been happy, amazing and positive. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've been meaning to talk about for quite a while on my channel, but I needed to build up quite a bit of courage to talk about this purely because this is such an intense topic and something that personally happened to me. It's just building up that strength to talk about something like this. This story happened about almost 10 years ago now, so a lot of time has passed and I've had a lot of time to think about it and sort of just learn from this experience. About 10 years ago, sexual harassment wasn't really talked about very much. To be honest, I didn't really know much about it at all. I knew that things like that sort of happened, but I thought it was more stuff like you see on the news about rape and that sort of thing. I didn't think that sexual abuse or sexual harassment was also if you're talking to someone in a way that the other person is not comfortable with, any inappropriate touching or anything like that. I just wasn't aware that this was an actual thing. I was never really told much about it. I come from an Indian background, so a lot of the time sexual abuse or any sort of abuse isn't really openly talked about in the Indian culture. And I thought about what I would do when I have kids, and this is something that I would definitely talk about with my kids, and breaking that sort of cultural barrier and that cultural taboo of talking about things like this, because this is something that I wish that I was told from a very young age, so I sort of knew how to handle myself in situations like this. But you can only learn and you can only just break that sort of cycle. For me, this was something that I didn't really tell many people. I only told a very close, I think it was like 2 or 3 friends, and otherwise I didn't really talk about it because I didn't really know what was going to happen. And I really thought that this man was going to get in trouble if I spoke about it openly, and I didn't want to be the reason why someone got into trouble. There are some topics and some things that I'm going to be telling you about that does involve sexual harassment. So if you are triggered by this, if you do not like talking about stuff like this or listening to stuff like this, please click out of this video. I've got a lot more very light-hearted content that you can watch. This particular story happened when I think I was about 15 or 16. I don't remember exactly how old I was. My friend and I, and also my brother, we used to go to kickboxing classes. We used to train for about 3 to 4 times a week. It was very hardcore. I loved going. It was really fun, got really fit. I loved it. In the beginning of every class, we would do very intense warm-up sessions that included things like squats and planks, just all of that. All of that really intense warm-up stuff. And even after training, we would do cool-down exercises, which included squats. Squatting was a problem for me. For some reason, I could not get my heels to touch the ground, so I would just do how I was able to do. One day I was squatting and we had a newish trainer that had just started. He was about in his 30s, mind you, double my age. So I was doing my squats and I knew for the longest time that I didn't squat like everybody else. There was something wrong with my legs, that I was not able to do them properly. And this particular trainer, I'll just name him Tim. Tim came up to me and he sort of looked at the way I was squatting and he goes, why are you squatting like that? Your heels are meant to be on the ground, otherwise you're going to really injure yourself. And I said, I've tried, I've asked the other trainer about it too. I don't really know how to do it. And then he goes, okay, come see me after class. I need to see your muscles, your calf muscles. And so that's what I did. I was really excited to see him after class because I thought he was going to fix all my problems in one day, and then I was going to be able to squat and do other exercises that I wasn't able to do because of my calf muscles at that time. So straight after class, I went to see him. Tim made me lay down on these stacked up mats that were in a really big pile in the corner of the room. So I climbed up and I laid on my stomach, and he started to sort of pinch my calf muscles to see what was going on. And I did not feel uncomfortable at all. I knew that he was doing his job. You know, he needed to feel them to see the problem and to see how he can help me. And so he said, whoa, your calf muscles are really, really tight. You need to do this particular exercise, not exercise, but it's like you have to roll on this thing to loosen up those muscles, and especially my thighs as well. At the back of my thighs, my muscles were really, really tight. And he said that's why you're not getting the range of motion that you need when you do squats, because of how tight your muscles are. I was like, okay, like, yeah, let's fix this. I'm ready, because I'm sick of, you know, being in pain. He said to me, take my number and we'll exchange numbers, and then either at the beginning of every class or after every class, you can come here a little bit early and I'll help you fix those muscles. And I was like, yeah, of course. I really thought this was just, you know, a trainer and sort of client relationship. I didn't really think of anything as, you know, anything bad. That wasn't even in my mind at all. And I'm sure any other client would sort of think the same. You know, he's a trainer, he's here to help me. So we exchanged numbers, and then I told him that I would let him know when I can come in. As I was leaving, I grabbed all my stuff and I left, and I get a text message, and it was from Tim. I'm thinking, I literally just left, like this is a bit weird. I didn't really think much of it. So I opened the text, and it said something like, you've got a really nice ass too. And I was like, what? Like, I'm thinking to myself, why would you text me something like that? It just made me feel really, really uncomfortable, because I didn't even realize that he was like looking at my butt area. I sort of felt a bit violated, because I was like, well, trainers are not supposed to make you feel that way. Why would you say something like that, especially to a girl who's 15, 16 years old? I just really thought that that was very, very strange. So I didn't reply, and I never contacted him about fixing my calves. One day I came to class a little bit late, and I went to the bathroom, which was a unisex bathroom. And one thing that I noticed in that bathroom, a lot of the times the lights would not work. When you go in, I would leave the main door slightly open so some light can get in and I'm not, you know, doing my business in the dark. So I left the main door open very, very slightly, and I obviously locked the cubicle door. I did my business and I went to the sink. So the sink was kind of in the corner where if you were washing your hands, your back would be facing the main door. So I'm washing my hands, and I sort of realized that the door has been opened and closed, because the light sort of went more bright and then it went dark. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe someone else has entered the bathroom. There are like 3 cubicles in there. And I'm continuing washing my hands, and I feel someone's body on my back and someone's head right in my neck. And I could feel like a beard, sort of like the stubble of someone's beard, like prickling my neck and shoulder area. And I turned around really, really quickly to see what was going on. The bathroom was so dark, like he had completely shut the door. It took me quite a few seconds to realize who it was, and it was Tim. I nudged him like that to get off me. I mean, mind you, he is so much stronger than me. He was a professional in kickboxing, so he was grabbing onto me for dear life. I'm trying to elbow him off me, and I wasn't even able to get him to move, not even 1 millimeter. And then he gets his hand and he travels it down from the bottom of my back to my butt and squeezes my butt with both hands. And I'm trying to get him off me, but I'm also trying to not scream or anything, because I did not want anyone else to hear or see what was going on, because I really thought that I would get into trouble for it or people would look down on me. I genuinely felt like if someone saw what was going on, they would think that we're both doing something, you know, nasty in the bathroom. I just didn't want anyone to think that this was in any way my doing or any consensual thing that was going on. But mind you, in my head, it wasn't even about consent. I didn't even know that yes or no was a thing. I just thought that someone would think that we're being naughty in the bathroom, and I didn't want anyone to think that. So when he was like down on my butt area, I'm telling him like, get off me, no, 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 what are you doing, stop, stop, stop. I was so scared that he was gonna go further because I just had no strength to like get this man off of me. He just kept whispering things in my ear, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm shaking at this point. I really did not know what to do. Like, I couldn't even like get any words out, to be honest. All I kept saying is, no, get off me, get off me. I didn't really know what else to say or what else to do. So I tried to like get him off me, and I managed to ironically do a kickboxing move that was taught in my classes. I managed to pull that off on him, and he sort of like moved to the side because of the pressure that I put on him, and I just ran out of the bathroom. I was shaking. I just could not believe that he did something like this to me. I went outside and I took a couple of deep breaths because I was so scared. I didn't know if I should tell the workers. I didn't want him to get fired. I didn't want myself to get kicked out of these classes. I just didn't know what the consequences of these actions were. I decided to not speak up. I did tell my friend who went kickboxing with me. She was really, really shocked. She just couldn't believe what she was hearing. I can honestly tell you that that was one of the scariest things. It all sort of made sense to me why he sent me that message after he looked at my muscles. He obviously had a lustful, wandering eye for me. Every time he was there, I would feel so uncomfortable when he would approach me. Like, I saw him at times, he would wink at me, and you know, if I had just like met eyes with him or something, he would wink at me or stare at me longer than necessary, and it always made me feel so uneasy. I would obviously have to talk to him because he was my trainer. He left after a couple weeks after the incident, and obviously it felt so much better that he wasn't there, and I just felt like, you know, there was no one staring at me or being weird, making me feel really uncomfortable. Moral of this story is that it's really important to speak up when something like this happens. I was so worried about what everyone else would have thought that I just decided to not speak up. I decided to not use my voice as a young woman, and it still to this day makes me really sad that I didn't speak up, because I wonder how many other people he did this to. He could have done worse to somebody else, and it just makes me feel super, super regretful in a way that I never did say anything. I know for a fact that if I did speak up about this, he would probably be in jail. And I was just always worried about other people and other people's lives, and I just didn't want him to be in jail. I didn't want him to lose his job or anything like that. But if something like that was to happen to me now, you best believe I would have run out of that toilet, and I would have told the first person that I saw. I would have told my other trainers or someone. But back then, you know, I was a teenager. I did not know much about sexual abuse, sexual harassment. To be honest, I didn't even know that touching was really a thing. I only realized because of how uncomfortable and how scared it made me feel. And I think it's so important that even schools should talk about this sort of stuff and what to do in situations like this. And parents should also talk about this with their kids. You know, it's so ironic that in a kickboxing class, you know, they teach you self-defense. They teach you, you know, if someone attacks you, how you need to use your skills to get them off you. And someone who trained me to do these things was the one to do something like that to me. And luckily, I was able to pull off the one move, someone who weighed probably triple my size back then. And I was able to get him off me. But I wonder if, you know, someone was a complete beginner, or someone that wasn't able to defend themselves on the street, or just something like that, how they would deal with something like this. As I said, I'm Indian, and these things don't get spoken about. I don't know whether it's because parents are shy or they don't want to talk about it because it's got something to do with sex or sexual activity. I'm here to tell you guys to really break the cycle. If you are from a family or a culture that does not talk about stuff like this, break that cycle and talk about it with your kids, talk about it with young people, because they need to be aware of how to handle situations like this or what to do. We also need to teach kids that it's not about what you wear, it's not about how you act, it's not about any of that. Just because someone wears revealing clothes or shows, you know, their cleavage or whatever it is, that does not give anyone an excuse to sexually harass or sexually abuse someone else. Women should be allowed to wear what they want without having the feeling that someone is going to sexually harass them or say something that is super inappropriate to make them feel uncomfortable. If a woman feels sexy and confident in what she's wearing, that should never give someone the right to do something as inappropriate like that. So this is an experience that I really wanted to talk about because of the way that it made me feel, and the fact that I wasn't really educated on sexual abuse. It's not about worrying about what other people are going to say or whether this person is going to lose their job or whatever it is. If someone has done something wrong like that, they need to be held accountable. We also need to be more believing that when a woman does speak about things like this, it's really important to believe her and not doubt what she's saying. A lot of the times it takes women so much courage and so much strength to even speak out or talk about stuff like this if they've experienced it. So we really need to be more believing and confident in women's experiences. If you are someone who has experienced any kind of abuse, just know there are hotlines that you can go to. Please go to the police. Please talk to an adult. Please talk to anyone that you can about it. By suppressing our voice, men feel that they can do anything that they want and get away with it. So please use your voice. Stand up to your rights. Stand up to what you believe in, because no other female or male should ever have to experience sexual abuse. And also by speaking up, we encourage other people to do the same and not live with such an experience and feel like they can't tell anyone. It's important that we make people feel comfortable in using their voices. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you learnt something and that you can break this cycle of the taboo topic of being sexually abused or sexual harassment in general. If you don't feel comfortable with talking to someone that you do know, I am here. You can reach out to me on my Instagram. I will always be here for you. Please stay happy. Please stay amazing. Please stay positive and stay safe, guys. Thank you. Bye.